Phyrexia All Will Be One has pre-released, and if you have been lucky enough to pull some of these cards we're going to present to you in this video, don't let go of them. This set is absolutely spectacular, but some cards are just top notch. But before we get into the cards that you absolutely need to hold on to, we're just going to talk a little about pull rates and rarity in Phyrexia All Will Be One.
So we watched a video from Mark from Solar Games, link below in the description, and he said that he had opened 22 set booster boxes, and his idea right now, he had calculated the average, and it looks about 4.3 mythics per booster box. So I mean, that's a little low, and on the low side of what we are seeing in the last couple of sets at least. I think we have calculated that the last couple of sets that had a mythic pull rate around 5.4, 5 point something. So that seems a little low. Not saying he's not correct, but if it's at around 4.3, it's a bit low for those set boosters, and you will end up not getting a lot of mythics. And also something he had to say that was really interesting is that it looks like some of the mythics are not pulled as frequently. This is also something we talk about in general on the channel and in the Magic the Gathering universe, that sometimes it seems like they're supposed to have the same amount of frequency per mythic, but it doesn't really seem like it. Mark said that his experience was that Nissa was not really, he had only seen one out of all of those 22 boxes, so that's very low. And also Elish Norn doesn't seem to be very frequently pulled either, even though she comes in 9 versions. So technically, because you have different slots to pull Elish Norn in, she should be at least somewhat frequent, but it doesn't look like it. But on the other hand, people, and this is where it gets really confusing, we went on Reddit today and we could see that someone had pulled 5 Nissa Planeswalker cards out of his pre-release pack. So 6 boosters and 5 Nissa cards. I mean, it does look like we have a duplication issue, or maybe some of the cards aren't distributed that evenly.
Yeah, at least some of these openings we have been watching, it looks like there is a slight duplication problem still, just as it was with Double Masters 22 and just as with Dominaria Remastered. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the pull rates of the mythic cards actually are, because if we are down to around 4, that would mean that this set is going to be as hard to pull mythics from as Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Yeah. But I don't think we are there, because what we have seen is around 6.
It does look that people are getting around from 5 to 8 mythic rares, if you're also including the list slot and also the commander slot. But let's hear more about those cards that you need to hang on to.
We have chosen 3 cards for you guys because these cards are very unique in what they do. The first card is Sword of Fortune Frontier, because this card is one of the sword cycles, and the sword cycles are some really nice artifact equipment cards. You could compare it to Sword of Light and Shadow, which is one of the mediocre swords. Sword of Light and Shadow, whenever the creature deals combat damage, you get to gain 3 life and you get to return a card from your graveyard to your hand. And while this card is good, it is not as powerful as some of the other swords. For instance, Sword of Feast and Famine. Whenever this creature deals combat damage with this sword equipped, you get to discard a card from their hand, and you get to untap all your lands. And especially the last ability, untapping all your lands, is absolutely insane. Another insane sword is Sword of Fire and Ice. This card, whenever the creature deals damage, do 2 damage to any player or creature that player control, and you get to draw a card. And especially the last ability, the card draw ability, is really powerful. If you compare with Sword of Feast and Famine and you compare with Sword of Fire and Ice, you see that Sword of Forge and Frontier actually have similar abilities to the 2 powerful abilities on the other side. You get to ramp with a land, and you get to draw 2 cards, exile them, and you can play them this turn. So you're getting card draw and you're getting ramp. So I think this sword is actually in the top tier of the sword cycle. Therefore, I think you should really hold on to that card. The next card I would like to point out is Mondrag Glory Dominus. This is basically an Anointed Possession on legs. An Anointed Possession, that is a powerful card, and therefore Mondrag is also a really powerful card. You could also compare it to Parallel Lives in green or Doubling Season. And all of these cards are stable cards. and they are also kind of valuable. So right now I don't think we're going to see the top of the price for Mondrak. Hold on to that guy. The last card is of course Elish Norn, Mother of Machines. Her abilities are just so broken. You get a 4/7 vigilance for only 5 mana, and only one of these needs to be white. That in itself is a great card. But also you get additional triggers whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, and your opponents do not get any triggers. If you compare it with some of these other stable cards, you have Naban, Dean Iterator. He does the same thing with triggering, but only with wizards, so that is really limited in the scope of the use. Also, you could compare it to Yorak, and he is a great stable commander. And also don't forget to mention Panharmonicon. So she is basically a Panharmonicon Yorak, but just better. If you're lucky enough to pull Elish Norn, I think you should hold on to her. Let's not forget a few honorable mentions. Phyrexia Obliterator is going to get a reprint in Phyrexia AWBO. It's a great card. It's extremely powerful. Only downside with this card is it is a bit limited, since you need to have 4 black mana to cast it. So it's mostly going to find a home in mono black decks. If that card enters the battlefield and gets to stick on the battlefield, you're going to have a whole shitload of problems. Another card which I think is really nice to see, it's a new card, it has never been printed before, it's Phyrexian Vindicator. It's also a 4 casting cost, it's 4 white, but for those 4 white you get a 5/5 flying creature. That in itself is great. It cannot be destroyed with direct damage, neither combat damage or removal damage. And even further, if you damage this card, you're going to be able to ping your opponent or opponent creatures. You're going to pin any target you want. That is absolutely insane, and it's actually really great.
So thank you for watching. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button if you want more videos like this one. And also, if you want to know more about some of the rare cards in Phyrexia AWBO, check out this video up here. See you in the next video.